Okay everyone, happy start to the week. So in this video, I'm going to be going over a quick trade I took on ES, right? So let's start from the beginning. So basically, we had the weekly opening over here. So I was a little bit cautious about the weekly opening. I don't like to trade near the weekly opening price. However, the setup did present, right? So let's break this down so people can understand, right? So we came into a key level, and this key level was actually defined from the previous week. So for those who don't know how I find my key levels, let me quickly break this down, right? So for me, it's a simple process because where I've taken trades, I use that as a key level because there's actually evidence of the market giving us limit orders at those levels. So now this level was actually made or created on the 12th of November, right? So 12th of November, we had a 50-minute imbalance, and so that then becomes the level, right? So this is now 68.90 to about 68.82, right? That was the level. So on the 12th, I took short trades here, and if you go look at the order flow, there was tons of evidence to suggest, well, tons of evidence to show that there were limit orders here, right? There were limit orders. So going into today's session, you needed to actually pay attention to this level, right? So it's not a coincidence we sold off from this level. The reason why is because the market gravitates towards key levels, and you want to be trading at key levels, and you just want to target the next key level. That's basically how the session went. So from a pre-market analysis, this is what I was looking for, right? So I basically, if we go back to the pre-market plan, so just before the market opens, so market opens here. So if we go to the market open now, this was the trade I took, right? So coming into market open, we had an aggressive open like this, right? So a couple of things. My strategy, boiled down, it's very simple. What you need is you need a key level. So you have to see price tagging into a key level. That's the first thing. The second thing you need to know is you need to know what buyers and sellers are doing, right? And the third thing is you need to know why to buy, or in this case, why to sell, right? So what was going on? So if you have these three things checked off, that's basically every trade I take. Win or lose, doesn't matter. They all follow the same three steps. So we came into this key level, 68.82 to 68.90. So I'm looking at the first 5 minutes, right? So I never trade the first 5 minutes. For those who trade the opening range breakout or the 5-minute orb, this is basically what it is. So you're looking for the first 5 minutes to give you some kind of a signal. So this was 9:30 Eastern to about 9:35, right? So this was the first 5 minutes. So now that we have the first 5 minutes, you just want to simply draw a line from the 5-minute high down to that 5-minute low. And so the way that I basically trade is, yes, number one, I'm looking for price to tag into a key level. That's number one. Number two, I'm looking to see how buyers and sellers react inside that key level, specifically that 5-minute orb. And number three, I will sell when aggressive buyers fail. And so that's what I'm going to go over in this short tutorial, right? So there we go. So for me, my entry came, if I go to my execution for that day, so my entry was here. And we're going to be breaking this down step by step. So my entry was at 68.78, right? And I targeted probably around 68.76. So it was around a 1.8R or just under a 2. So my entry was, again, set 68.78. So it was around here. And I had my stops initially above the 5-minute high, but I was comfortable bringing it down as the trade went in my direction. And I was basically targeting about let's just say 1.8R, something like that. So before we go into the actual execution as to why this trade played out the way it did, we want to focus on what was going on inside of the key level. And this is what makes a trade, right? So you need a key level, you need to look at buyers and sellers, and you want to know why to buy or sell. So let's break this down from an order flow perspective. So this blue box is the same level. So this is 68.82 and then at the top of 68.90. So let's break this down. So this was the candle at market open, right? So market open, we closed, well, we didn't close. The first few minutes, let's say 9:31, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, we closed below the zone. But what's important to see is weakness. And I want to be going over buyer weakness in this video. This is basically why I took the trade. So when people say, where did you trade from? The key levels were defined already before the market opened. What I looked for was buyers and sellers. And why I took the trade is because aggressive buyers failed, which shows me that there are sell limit orders resting in this region. That is why I sold. So now we want to just analyze this kind of first 5-minute range over here. The first 5 minutes for today were crucial, 9:30 to 9:35 EST. If we just break this down once again, it's going to look like this, right? So what we can see here is this, right? This is the price action we are looking for. So we see 930, a lot of aggressive buyers, right? So we see blue delta. Even here, we see a red candle, sorry. So we see the market closing below our level, but we see a lot of blue delta at the top, right? Aggressive buyers, right? We see aggressive buyers here, and also what's interesting is we had this red candle here, right? So this bearish candle, if you want, black candle. What we saw, very interestingly, this candle here actually had a big buyer, aggressive buyer stepping in, right? But we continue to head lower. So that was where my execution came in at 68.78, right? So what was going on here was aggressive buyers and no reward. And that's why we moved lower. So just to sum this up, what we saw in this region, we had the first 5 minutes. So if I just write that down, first 5 minutes, we saw aggressive buyers and we saw a break to the downside. Now, when you see aggressive buyers and a break to the downside, it means that this region here has been supported by passive sellers, right? So they're passive sellers over here, passive sellers. And that is why I look to sell, right? The reason I look to sell isn't because of any pattern or anything like that. It just comes down to the fact that aggressive buyers failed, which means that sellers are ultimately in control. So good trade, you know, I wasn't a fan of the price action. I didn't enjoy holding this trade. I thought holding it was very choppy, but eventually we got a pretty nice sell-off for a Monday, right? So again, just to sum that up, key level, entry, order flow.